everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the USJ-R School of Education Learn at Home webinar series. To begin, let us have our opening prayer. Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of God as we say in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Most gracious and ever-loving Father, we praise and thank you for the gift of life, good health, protection, and safety. We are grateful for you have given us this day for us to gather with you in our midst. Lord, as we hold our webinar for tonight, we are praying that you would bless us with open minds and hearts to accept new ideas and changes that have come our way. We are asking for your guidance and enlightenment as we make decisions each day. Bless us with strength, unconditional love, and perseverance as we work together for the good of the students that you have entrusted to us. May you bless our eyes, minds, and hearts, that we may be able to see you, Lord, in every person we will encounter in life and in every situation we meet, even in this pandemic. May you make us become a humble being as we recognize that everything we do and everything we have is all from you and for your greater glory. All these we pray in your mighty name. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hello everyone, good evening once again. My name is Miss Frenchie and I'm your host for tonight's USJ-R School of Education Learn at Home webinar series. To begin, let us listen to the welcome address to be rendered to us by one of the faculty members of the Department of Teacher Education, Mr. Rex Villavelas. Good evening, Sir Rex.
Good evening, Miss French, and good evening to our participants, our dear speakers, and my dear colleagues. All right, to set the tone for tonight's webinar, um, the education system has been transitioning into the new normal. We all know that. And USJ-R, School of Education, being at the forefront of inclusive education, has in mind that there must be various initiatives to help ensure that children with special needs would be able to continue their education. And in order for this to be possible, teachers, specifically teachers catering to special children, must be equipped with the tools to teach our children with special needs through new tools and technologies. This webinar is a response to that need. Thus, it is aptly entitled Special Education in the New Normal Version 2. Version 2, since this is a part 2 of a previous webinar, which was determined to be of great interest to most of the participants, and with that demand, it was decided to have this version 2. We have with us tonight very competent speakers in the field of special education, and I'm sure they will greatly add to the tools and skill sets of our participants who are special education teachers, parents, or professionals catering to special children. I, for one, know that this will be a challenge. This will be very challenging on the part of the teachers in this current time. So I hope that this webinar will make things not necessarily easier, but more manageable and impactful. And I'm sure our speakers are well equipped to do just that. I'm sure everyone will learn and enjoy at the same time. And once again, thank you for everyone who joined us tonight, and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Rex, for that warm welcome. I am sure that our participants here are looking forward to how special education can be done in the new normal. So this is our version 2.0 because in the previous session, we already had a talk. So we will have more about how special education can be made possible even at days like this. Okay? So this time, to give us the rationale behind this endeavor, let us listen to one of the faculty members of the Physical Education Department in the person of Ms. Luana Castañares. Good evening, Ms. Luana.
Good evening, Miss Frenchie. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the USJ-R School of Education Learn at Home series. with a theme maintaining a stress free lifestyle while reinventing and teaching learning paradigms in the new normal. For everyone's knowledge and attention, the host, University of San Jose Recoletos School of Education, is located in Cebu City, Philippines, and is recognized by the Commission on Higher Education as the Center of Excellence in Teacher Education in the region. We thank you for your enormous response and participation to our previous webinar series that inspire us to continue to share our gifts and expertise to those who want to learn at the comforts of their homes. We gathered around 5,000 views to 7,000 and 7,400 views to 10,000 to 12,000 to 16,000 to 39,000 and even as far as 43,000 views to prove that we have been connecting with you all for this learning opportunity. Hence, aside from learning at home, you will also be receiving several perks for joining the series. First is you acquire new learning in the comforts of your home. Second, you can share them in your respective learning groups. Third, you receive a certificate of participation for every topic that you have attended. And lastly, you will also receive a certificate of completion once you finish the 4 webinar series for the month. So I'm sure that all of you are excited for our session tonight. So sit back, relax, and have fun while learning. Adelante.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Luana, for giving us an overview as to why this session will be made possible for tonight. No? Like what Ma'am Luana and even Sir Rex had mentioned, what we have right now is inclusive education, and that's something that we really need to give importance to. Okay, now before we begin with our session proper, let me give everyone a few reminders for us to go about smoothly with our webinar. So right now, our webinar is streaming live in YouTube, and that's through the USJ-R College of Education YouTube channel. So we are inviting everyone to hit the subscribe button so that you'd be able to see all of the replays of our videos and even the live streaming of this webinar. Now that we are on YouTube, should you have any takeaways or questions about our sessions for tonight, please don't hesitate to post them through the chat section. I think it's in the right side of your screen. Okay? And after all the sessions, your questions will be entertained. So there will be one question to be answered by each of our invited speaker. And I know that everyone is excited because we will be having 2 trivia questions for tonight. We will be giving out 2 sets of 100 pesos worth of GCash load, and that will be made possible if you join our trivia questions later on after all the sessions will be made. Okay, and we have some invited guests and team organizers joining us in Zoom, so we are requesting you to kindly mute your microphones, and to support our bandwidth for tonight, you may turn off your camera as well. Okay, and for our participants, I know you might be asking right now as to how you can get your e-certificates. The instructions I will give to you after all the sessions. So sit back, relax, hang in there. This is our Friday habit. It's something that we look forward to every Friday. So let's enjoy this one. Okay? Can I see the hearts, the likes, and the virtual applauses from our participants in YouTube? Okay. There's a bit of a delay though, but I know they can hear me later. Alright, I'm starting to see now. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce to you our first speaker. Our first speaker is a GFT lead coach. She is likewise a content developer, researcher, and children's rights advocate. She is a monitoring principal for special education. She is a Gintong Parangal sa Edukasyon awardee, an outstanding teacher in the Division of Cagayan de Oro City, and a fellow of Doctor's Circle LEP. She is here to share with us about Leadership Toolkit for SPED teachers in the time of pandemic. Please welcome Dr. Jessica Joy Hinakay. Good evening, Dr. Hinakay.
Good evening, Miss French.
Good evening,
Hello,
ma'am.
everyone. Hi, I am Jessica, and tonight we are going to talk about simple things that will help us cope up with all the things that we have been experiencing in this time of pandemic. This session is entitled Leadership Toolkit for Special Education Teachers in this time of pandemic. And we are aware that both the public and private education sectors are affected in the present situation we are in. And the school operations is grossly affected by the situation. And many of our parents are afraid for their children's safety, and that is why they are a bit apprehensive to enroll their children. And because of this, schools are experiencing decrease in their enrollment. Even public schools where education is free, and more so in the private schools where some parents have transferred their children to the public school because of the socio-economic status affecting all strata of the society, including the industries who are also benefactors of schools. And internal stakeholders of the schools, such as non-teaching staff, are affected too, and they have to adapt to new changes, such as doing multitask to cover up the work of those who are laid off or forlorn for a few months. And looking at the whole picture, we teachers become the buffer element of the conditions experienced by the community. And we help bring back learners and so that they can continue learning in spite of what is happening. In fact, we have to adapt to strategies to help pupils learn better in the new setup we have and assist school remodel operations. In this unprecedented time, all of these things have caused us and our school clientele anxiety, if not stress. And this is the very reason why we should talk about these things on how we as school leaders in our own classrooms, even in our own schools, shall handle these situations before the situation takes control over us. Most especially that we at the special education, we need to champion the most vulnerable individuals in the society who are our learners. In this extraordinary time, requires extraordinary teachers to champion the children with special educational needs. So, all right, what are inside our kits? First, let us keep ourselves healthy, especially mentally, by observing the health protocols, have proper diet, get enough sleep, and like vitamin C, getting sleep actually boosts our immune system. Prayer too reduces our mental stress. And another content of our kit is situational awareness, and this requires knowledge of oneself and being aware of where we are in the situation, most especially in recognizing our strengths and weaknesses. According to Father Roberto Yap, the new university president of Ateneo de Manila, when he was still assigned at Xavier Ateneo, he said that when we know where we are, we know where to navigate ourselves. We know how to chart ourselves to where our class should go in the next few months. And of course, we need also to hone or explore our ICT skills. Although teachers Although technology, can never replace teachers, but time will come when the teachers who have no proficiency, are not very proficient in ICT, will be replaced by those who already have the proficiency in terms of ICT. And the other one is that the next content of our kit is situational awareness. With situational awareness is we should be able to quickly identify problems, and we cannot do this without open mindedness. This actually requires knowledge of oneself and being aware of where we are in the situation, and most especially in recognizing our strengths and our weaknesses. No? And the program will have its direction when we are aware of where we are in. We are aware of what is happening around us in these uncertain times. Self-examination is actually a springboard for better leadership qualities, especially in the classroom. No? At the end of the day, we always make it a point to reflect on our practices and what we have done for our pupils. In being open-minded, together we can identify problems and offer better strategies and options for our learners. For example, if things do not work out well at home with their parents, using the modular type of learning for non-graded learners, these things will help us explore other possibilities of teaching, such as doing radio and TV-based program. Another thing inside the kit is um, resilience. During difficult circumstances, resilience is something that would help us bounce back from difficulties. And this refers to the ability to make creative ways on which we can help our pupils in difficult times. We in the SPED program, we know all of these things. No? In fact, we master these things. All we need to do is rekindle the ability to become resilient in us. We even manage to laugh at our experiences at the end of the day, right? And no matter how difficult, how different our experiences may seem, being resilient has a deeper sense. It is the ability to turn difficult circumstances into something creative, and that is where the magic is. I can still remember when we have a number of pupils who could not be immediately admitted at the SPED program because they do not have diagnosis of their conditions, and they could not afford to have themselves checked by professional or developmental pediatricians. And they have to wait, or they have to wait for a long time, for at least a year, for them to be entertained by the doctor because of the number of patients that developmental pediatricians need to attend to in our area. It was a very difficult time for me then because I was a neophyte in the program, and I took the initiative to open myself to ask help from others. First with my teachers, and it so happened that the grade level leader of the program who have once worked with our social welfare office and have taught abroad. Incidentally, and he is one of our speakers tonight. Out of the difficult situation, we have established a very creative solution for our pupils. And that is to seek out help from the local social welfare office, resident psychologists, and psychometricians. From then on, the pupils do not anymore have to wait for a long time before they can be admitted at the center. In this time of pandemic, we too can create better opportunities for our learners so we can reach out to them more. In fact, we can tap the government-owned radio stations for our learning programs, the Radio ng Bayan outlets, no? For example, so that we can have longer time for free in this time of pandemic. This brings us to the next important content of the kit, and that is collaboration. During the pandemic, it is important for us to find strength with each other by collaborating with others, no? Our co-teachers, our parents. In the Philippines, this is what we actually regard as the essence of bayanihan. In this time of uncertainty, it would be helpful if we continue to journey together and complement each other's need. Now that pupils will be staying in their own homes, we need our parents, to be our partners for learning. The time has actually opened opportunities for us at the SPED program to work with our companions in the regular classes who are good in video production and even those who fare well in proofreading our learning materials. Our experiences in the field and the energy we radiate, encourages our parents and even our co-teachers, to become more confident in spite of the uncertainties that we are experiencing. Uh, Parents will be more confident in enrolling their children back to school. In this way, we can build stronger support system for our co-teachers and parents and the school. In other words, collaboration drives self-motivation, unique adaptations, creativity, and innovation in each one in the community, and develops the culture of responsibility. In the SPED program, we call our parents caregivers and administrators during consultations, right? To holistically address needs from multiple perspectives. In other countries, they even involve the resident educational psychologists. The message here is that we should feel free to work with others and become more creative and should not be afraid to innovate. No? I'm very sure that you all have, the skills and the fresh ideas that you can introduce to the school so that the school can adapt them, and perhaps this would create better opportunities, as I have said before, for our learners. In an open system just like the SPED program, we build and support by innovating and working with others. Let us remember that as we complement each other, we also recognize others for their contribution. And in doing so, we are helping others grow. Our simple thanks is an affirmation that also empowers our companions, that would involve our co-teachers and even our parents. Another tool inside our kit is our involvement in professional learning communities. We encourage everyone to be involved in PLCs and other professional organizations, such as the Coalition for Better Education, or even our very own PLCs, our small communities inside the school, our group, at the SPED Center. Although we are very busy managing our work, our family, we also need to nurture ourselves. And PLCs helps us build and support in many ways. We can learn from each other's experiences and best practices. Our community also nurtures our need for belongingness and for self-actualization. Our involvement in PLCs is actually an enabling experience that allows us to share our learnings to our companions in the program. Our next tool is the willingness to develop our very own leadership framework. And this concept is actually developed by Bullman and Deal in the 1980s. And they said that each one of us possess these four aspects of leadership in our metacognition, namely political, structural, symbolic, and human resource. For some, they may be politically inclined if they are more attuned to organizational politics, and project as advocates of some of personal or organizational agenda. We may be inclined to be more of the structural type if we are more concerned with organizational structures and sticking with policies. We are more of human resource if we are concerned with relationships inside the organization and tend to align our relationships with organizational needs and project empowerment among our companions. We are more of the symbolic type if we tend to inspire others. And there is actually nothing wrong with being political or structural or more of a human resource type or symbolic type of a classroom or school leader. They're actually good things and they are strengths to us. No? However, if we are more inclined of any one of these, we also need to hone the other three frameworks in us for us to easily shift and match our leadership qualities to the actual need of our classes and the program. These four has to be more or less balanced to enable us to respond appropriately to the needs of our learners and the whole class itself, most especially that in the new normal, we have new learners also with us who are our parents, who will be the learning supervisors of our children at home. In the situation I shared to you earlier, we are able to respond to the need to the learners for diagnosis by exploring our political and structural aspects, even if we are not really too political in relating with our department heads of the local government. It was a difficult journey at first, yes, but it is a shared journey with my companions in the special education program. We drew strength from each other as we explore and create possibilities and opportunities for our learners. We can actually use the tool of Bullman and Deal in examining our four frameworks of leadership in us. The results will help us reflect on our own leadership styles inside the classroom. Our mastery and balance of our own framework will help us to become more resilient, creative, and innovative leaders of our own classrooms and schools. Finally, our ability to match the tonalities of our parents and learners. We all know that regardless of their exceptionality, our pupils also have their own tonalities, just like their parents and our regular pupils. Some of them do not like to be touched. Others would also want to be touched by their teachers from time to time. Other pupils in the program are very sensitive to colors, to sound, while others are not. Hence, it is important to be very keen to their tonalities. We all know about this because many of our pupils have been staying with us for years, right? And these are very important considerations when designing our learning plans for them. So, as mentioned earlier, do not be afraid to be more creative and innovative in designing the learning plans for them. But I would like to talk more about the tonalities in general, especially that in this time of pandemic, we will be collaborating with the parents as our partners for learning, our co-teachers, because sometimes also need to ask their help. Now, it is important to note that in communicating with them, to give instructions, conduct regular consultations, it is necessary to observe the tonality of the person we are communicating with so that our message to them, the instructions we will be giving to them, will remain and become meaningful to them. And they will be able to translate all of this as they supervise their children who are learning at home. The first one is the visual people. They comprise 65% of the population, so we meet them often. If one is a visual person, how do we know them? These people are more attuned to their neat clothing, their matching clothing, and they talk fast and frequently looks at the images of their mind. That's why some from time to time they glance above, because they tend to look at the images in their mind, and they occasionally touch their eyes. They absorb instruction and respond to our requests, if we show them illustrations. And it is best when we do video conferencing or use illustrations or mention examples to them to create images or illustrations in their minds. Now, the auditory people make up 30% of the general population. If one is of auditory type, he has a well-modulated voice and they talk slow and frequently glances at the side. Ganyan. And he occasionally touches his ears when talking. So giving instructions to these type of parents will do, pwede na siyang phone calls, no? And we just make sure that we don't raise our voice and talk too fast because this would irritate them. And we can raise our voice a little bit louder to put emphasis. No? But it's just that we need to avoid making unnecessary noise aside from the instructions that we will be giving to them. And the last one are the kinesthetic people, which comprises 5% of the population. This one, no? Although we meet them occasionally, it is best to know how we relate and talk to them. If one is a kinesthetic type, he frequently looks down to feel the words. And it is best that we allow him to demonstrate back what we have instructed them to do. Now, these are the type of people who can easily pick up our instruction for their kids when we capacitate them in our classrooms. And let us not forget to maintain distance and disinfect materials used during the demonstration afterwards. And notice that the contents of the toolkit are actually, most of them are soft skills or abilities that enable us to manage our resources well and our skills to help us succeed in all our undertakings, especially in this extraordinary time. We at the SPED program are called to become extraordinary teachers for our exceptional pupils. I can remember my friend and mentor, Dr. Justoni Babia, who once said that our soft skills becomes essential skills. Now, his prophecy, shall I say, has really, come into reality because he said this around 2 to 3 years ago in one of his talks. And these skills now will enable us to cope and stand in this time of pandemic. So thank you everyone for listening. And as a review, what are these soft skills? We have situational awareness, collaboration, involvement, resilience, creativity, and innovativeness, willingness and being open-minded, and our ability to match tonalities and even our leadership styles in the classroom. So thank you everyone once again, and credits to the following websites for the terms and images used in the presentation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hinakay, for your sharing.
You're welcome on French.
Indeed, the toolkits, the leadership toolkits that Dr. Hinakay had shared to us are very essential as we sail to this new adventure. You know what, fellow educators? Education, teaching, and learning is like sailing, wherein the teachers are the frontliners. The teachers are the captains of the ship. That is why we need to have the qualifications of a leader as well. And we thank you, Dr. Hinakay, for your sharing. Okay, at this point, I shall introduce to you our second speaker. Our speaker is a 2019 Metrobank ACES awardee, a 2015 ILEP Fulbright Fellow, and a 2012 Metrobank Outstanding Teacher. From 2018 at present, she serves as a cultural exchange teacher in the United States of America. She is a Microsoft Ambassador Fellow. She was the Philippine representative to Microsoft's Global E2 Summit in Singapore in 2018. In 2013, she was an outstanding school paper advisor, and in 2012, she was a Coalition for Better Education Outstanding Member. Please welcome Ms. Mary V. Lim. Good evening, Ms. Mary V. I think you're on mute, ma'am.
Here you go. So once again, good morning and good evening from there. Okay, so magandang umaga po. I'm happy and privileged to join you this morning, and in my share, I will be sharing to you. Ito po yung aking topic this morning. Here we go. Okay, so this is my share for our team today. So I will be dealing more on about access, support, and parent-teacher partnership. So this is in line with Dr. Joy had shared earlier. Okay, the flow of what we will have this morning from here. So we will be talking about SPED education during pandemic. It's just an adding on with what we have earlier, and then we also discuss about access and support. And then the core of this is the parent-teacher partnership in special education, and I will be also sharing to you the resources. Remote learning comes in many forms and not always online learning. So ito po yung aking hashtag because even in a regular setup of education setup, ito pong sabi, no, ay magre-remote learning or we have a distance learning, so everything just pops in online works, no? But we have different types of learning modalities. So ito po yung hashtag, no? But to remind us that everybody has an opportunity to have education, especially in this time. Okay, our reality one, okay, no one is being left behind. Number two reality is approximately 15% of the world's population, representing more than 1 billion people, live with disabilities, and 2% of that to 4% with day-to-day challenges without assistance. Number three, here we go. Around the globe, at least there is 1.5 billion students and their families significantly affected by the COVID-19 outbreak. And most of this, no, parang they felt like that we just focus only for the regular academic setup, and then we just forgot the kids under special education program. When we speak about special education program, it is not only limited to children with special needs per se, with means of disabilities or lacking of on something, but it's always from the extreme, no, down to what we have needing the most to help. Okay. And above all these things, there is also a reality number four. Okay, this is based on research that I'm sharing to you. So the government is addressing barriers to improving learning processes and outcomes of students with special needs during the crisis. So it's not only in our country, in the Philippines, that sabihin natin, oh, we're not doing much, after all, we're not doing anything, but actually the reality is lahat po, no? Lahat, everybody across the globe is really working hard to address this, especially in terms of education. So, ganun po, and an overview natin when we are facing right now in the core of the continuity of the learning of our school kids, okay? So, yun po yung apat na yun, no? So, right now, addressing, no, yung mga doubts, lalo na yung nasa malalayo, no? Kasi when we face this challenge, ang nakikita natin is, actually, totoo, we have limitations, but we do not stop there. Okay, so for everybody like me as a teacher also, we acknowledge the challenges, anong difficulties, the problems, limitations, but we will not stop there because we have to look on the other side that it's not only us, but also the government, okay, the school leaders are really working hard, no, to address this. And of course, as mentioned earlier, we are frontliners, no. Apart from that, here's the support and access that we will be dealing with. Okay? So, ito po, I'm just recognizing my own school from the Philippines, from Gerald Santos City Sped Integrated School. I took these pictures, no? So, before I left the country in 2018, we had a launch the Read Aloud in support for our children to read, and of course, one of our partners. No, ito po ang aming partners, no? Where Ma'am Joy, Dr. Joy and I, part of the team when we deal with making the energy ed cards. So this is my community. Okay. When we speak about special education, I learned a lot, especially when I came here in 2015 under Fulbright program, yung kanyang life skills. But when I came back in 2018, na in-depth na po yung learning ko as a general education teacher. So, receiving teacher din po ako. In the Philippines, I am trained for gifted no kids with behavioral problems, no, and of course yung ating kids with special needs. And I work with a special education teacher, yung group of teachers that you can see on screen, na they have different types of kids. So access ko for them because we are an integrated school. Pag na mainstream sila sa klase ko, I have from the gifted and the children with hearing difficulty, and of course kids with autism. Yan po sila sa klase ko, no? And then we work together. And on the other hand, they are not limited only with the life skills, but also they're engaged into sports. And when we have covered the Palarong Pambansa, I was fortunate, no? Really, it's an opportunity to work with the kids yung naka-uniform dito sa left side. No, they're from Sarangani province, no? So I was so thankful. So these are my exposure. With this one as a receiving teacher, we have the IEP, yung Individualized Educational Plan, no? So noon po, actually, when I joined SPED in 2003, hindi ko talaga masyadong maintindihan, no? But because the heart is there, no, it's not just the compassion and the sympathy, but I have seen that these kids, apart from the limitation, no, or despite from the limitation as we have seen it, meron silang sobra din na wala tayo, no? So, IEP program or IEPs are really helping me, no, and the rest of the teacher team. Anyway, ang SPED naman is multidisciplinary team siya, no? You do not stand alone for all of these kids, and we get a lot of support. So, especially now sa time na ganito that the kids, na wala tayong face-to-face na klase, ang ating IEP would really help us to monitor, no, to check ano bang need ng bata. Okay? And of course, providing family and caregiver support. Dito kasi we have caregivers, not just like the caregivers that nakikita natin, no, na they really working with us. So even also as teacher, no, when we have special cases, no, that we really have to visit kahit ngayon na time. So, ganun po, these are the support. And of course, this is a collective responsibility, no? So, there are more work to be done. Alam natin yan. And most of the time or all the time at this moment, we're asking, we need more time, no? Hindi pwedeng ura-urada, agad-agad. Because especially when we are talking about modules, it took time. But because we're addressing it and it's the call of responsibility as an ASAP, resilient naman po tayo, ano? It's not only in the Philippines, but looking across the globe, it is. No, nagtatry, hindi lang po tayo sa Pilipinas na nag-struggle, no? Kahit po dito, we're working hard on that. So, since this is a collective responsibility, so from the government to the parents, the teachers and caregivers, no, so we have to work together to somehow reduce the educational inequality of for students with special needs, no. Madali lang sabihin kung ang need ng bata is just like this, no, pero yung severe na, but honestly, we are helping parents also. We are training them over the years. When we speak about training, no, because this is a collective responsibility, the access that we're providing to the parents, no, lalo na sa special education program, actually is starting to equip them from day one to the present na paano nila maturuan at matulungan yung kanilang mga anak pagdating din sa bahay. That's one thing which is good about special education in the country kasi nag-i-evolve siya, no? It is not just like the simple, let's say, for us, we term it simple, but sa need nila, no, ultimo pagliston or pagtali ng liston nila. So from that, a very simple task as we thought it is, sa kanila challenge po yan. So gradually, over the years, alam na ni parent anong need ng anak niya. Now, let's go away from that na academic lahat, no? Based on the IEP ng bata, we could really see kung anong kailangan niya, no? Literacy, yes, kailangan din ng bata, pero gradual yon, no? And it is not only in English that we taught them that, so we could use our mother tongue, ganun po, no? So those are the access and the support. So in terms of education po, don't worry na sabihin na, oh, our kids in this program, no, nalimutan, hindi na isali, but that's not true, no? We work hard na lahat po, no, lalo na sila, that we are going to provide the quality of education that we are providing the rest of the kids in our school and community. Okay, let's talk now about this parent-teacher partnership. The last time I shared about this with our two speakers, okay, Dr. Hernandez and Dr. Glenny. Okay, so right now I will be talking still about parent-teacher partnership, specifically for special education. Although the partnership that we have discussed last time, applicable pa rin sa atin ito. But right now, what I'm sharing to you is nakafocus siya po on the education, no, under this program. Okay, so we are making, no, in the parents-teacher partnership, we are making a smooth transition, no, the transition from school to their house and they're from their house to our school. Okay, yung number one natin or letter A, that is what we have with our regular scheme of providing education to our kids under special education. Ngayon, i-reverse na natin siya, diba? So from school, going back to their homes. Syempre, environment really matters. So the school setting is a lot different from the home setting, case-to-case basis, no? But this might be not that difficult after all because the kids are already engaged. So I might be only talking to the kids who are into schooling already or into na-expose na sila for school. But for the beginners for this year, we could start also how to manage and help parents to assist us in helping their kids. Now, since we don't have a face-to-face class or the physical classroom, I'm so sure meron po tayo mga intervention, okay, especially for our SPED teachers. How could we reach the parents, lalo na po na papasok pala yung mga anak nila for schooling this year? Okay, lahat po ng bagay, kahit sabihin, we get away from our comfort zone that we just bring our kids to school, si teacher nandyan, but ngayon reverse siya, no? It's not easy. We have to acknowledge that. Lahat po nagsa-struggle, yes, we have to acknowledge that, but we don't have the reasons that we just stop there, okay? We have to do something, no, na hindi naman natin maisakripisyo yung safety natin, and of course, yung regular norms natin araw-araw, maghahanap buhay si parent, no, si teacher nandyan para sa mga anak. So, with this type of collaboration and partnership, ang goal naman natin dito is to make our students in all types of learning areas to be successful, no? So, we have to work on this, setting up their new learning environment, not new, okay? Kasi bahay nila school, no? So yung mga mata, I wanna go back to school. Even here, miss, we miss you. We would like to go back to school, but recognizing the need, no, to be safe. So nag-a-adjust din po, okay? Letter B about consistency between the classroom and home. Mom, I find it very difficult how to help my kid, no? Yung anak ko, so ganito, ganyan. So, ako na-observe ito sa mga co-teachers ko instead because my school in the country is a integrated school. So my school is providing special education from preschool going to the senior high school, no? So, makita po natin anong practices ng bata sa school. Hindi big sabihin when he or she go back to her own home, wala na, no? So, consistent po siya. Conditioning kasi, ano, we even condition our kids in another curriculum programs na apart from yung self-esteem nila, behavior, no? And then, sa kanila ganun din, no? So we are trying to provide, no, na everything is constant, consistent, and of course parallel, no, na they could adjust, no. So ganun po. So ito po pinaka-importante, open communication between parent and teacher or among parents and among teachers. Why it is very important. Parang ano na siya, no, gas-gas siya, it's a cliche, but this has always been the heart or the core of everything. If we don't have an open communication, dito po talaga nagsisimula ang problema, no? And in the end of the day, ang maapektuhan po ang ating mga estudyante or yung mga anak nila. So again, it's easier said than done, but as we move along, no, especially in the transition of how we deal and deliver education to our kids, especially in this time, we learn to value more things that we forgot or we have given less importance before this pandemic. Okay? So yung open communication, may mga parent po, no, na they're really equipped. Talagang alam din nila how their IEP runs. So teacher, it's not a threat to you. It's actually an A+, no, a factor that would really make things a lot better for the procedure or the quality of the help that we're going to give their kids, no. So si parent naman, looking at the IEP, kung may tanong siya, no, may doubt siya, parents have to talk to the teacher, ask the teacher, no, about it. Paano ba ginagawa dito, no? So before sa school ko, we have this umbrella type, and it's a reality, no? It was mentioned also earlier by Dr. Joy na talagang you need to have collaboration, no? I'm so happy that we worked together when she started the program, and I visited her school, no? We're still in the same program too for Global Filipino School, no? So nagtulungan, no? It doesn't mean that you only have the help within your community. Open na po, no? It's a global education. We could even ask help, no? Na hindi lang sa Pilipinas. So, okay. So, going back to that, yung ating IEP, dito po ang ginagawa as a general educator, no? I am a receiving teacher. Tapos, if we have a meeting, no? So, umbrella po yan, ng mga therapists namin, which it was mentioned also na mahal sa Pilipinas, no? But because of this special education, may mga NGOs naman na tumutulong sa atin dyan. Here, our setup is, I do feedback how the kid works in my class, the support that he or she is getting, the challenges, no, nagtitake ng exam ng bata. So, dito naman is our plan when we sat for IEP, ang main goal po namin talaga is graduation, no, graduation. So, how long ba siya makastay? Ano bang challenges niya? Ano bang services that the government is giving the kids? No, so sa ating dyan, ibang scenario din, but in the structure of it, we're also looking forward na talagang ma-polish din po yung ating program under special education, no? Among all other things, ito pong dapat open communication, no? We have to really value this because ang end goal naman natin is to make our students successful, okay? Not just in academics. So under this special program, minsan kasi pag sinabi mong special program, kids with learning disabilities, no? Yung disabilities lang nakatutok. But over the years, we have known that we have to look at the totality ng bata in terms of learning, life skills, and of course, how he manage or he plans, no? Kung anong meron para sa kanya. Okay? For our letter D under parent-teacher partnership, strategies for IEP dispute and conflict resolution. No, ito po na, we deal one parent, excuse me, before na talagang, hindi, dapat yung anak ko nagsusulat na, no? Dapat yung anak ko nagbabasa na, and then, we try, no? So you could not just fight over this, no? Si parent may sariling norm siya, anong gusto niya para sa anak niya. That's fine, that's okay. Now, as a teacher, as a school, we have to educate our parents. We have to make them understand. We have to work together. Anong kailangan doon? So, kung may problema talaga, hindi nagkaintindihan si teacher at si parent. So, this time, kailangan po ng proper setting niya, no? So, mag-call, may communication. So, access agad through the school principal, no? For example, ako ang teacher. So, I went to, Doc Joy, I need help kasi itong parent ko ganito. So, supervision, management, assistance. So, andyan na po ating mga school heads and the rest of our partners. Good thing for me also because I serve as a part of my job under SPED. Naging guidance counselor ako for 9 years, no, sa school, and I was happy for the opportunity until time came na nagkaroon na rin po kami ng budget and slot to have our own guidance counselor, no, na full-time sa school. So I work with another teacher dealing with this. So hindi lang siya, no, na in terms of IEP but also yung opportunity ng bata after high school. So it's also a struggle for us, no, a challenge for us that our services do not limit, no, pag nag-graduate na sila sa school natin, goodbye, no. It's not only just the work of the guidance counselors, no, na isipin what awaits after high school, what awaits after elementary, no, in special education. Even the gifted, no, ay, matalino na yan. No, because they have still to be guided. Because if we just parang pabayaan natin sila, remember, gifted nga sila, but they need more. Kung hindi sila mag-guide, we will be wasting the talent, no? Masayang mawala. Okay, same as with the rest of the children under this program. So, kanya-kanya po talaga siya. Now, in terms of this, pag nagkaroon talaga tayo ng problema, ng conflict, no, between the parent and how we run, no, how we help. So, let's go back to the IEP. I look forward in our country, no, na talagang matutukan po talaga ang ating, not just the SPED program alone, because it really needs a lot of support, no, but it doesn't only limit to the physical support, financial support, no, yung training natin na hindi siya ihiwalay nga, no, hindi siya ma-separate because we always have the division, yung SPED ganito, ito yung normal, no, because kung titingnan, it should be within the mainframe ba, no, continuity siya ng para sa education na ito. So, parent-teacher partnership, it requires respect also, no, how we deal the parents, and syempre, we also recognize our cultural differences, the diversity of culture, the language, no, lalo na sa Pilipinas, sa ating bansa na, wow, ang dami nating lingwahe, no, nakakabilib. So, si teacher, yun na nga, tatantyahin mo, no, it's not just putting down kung ano bang status ni parent, but it's the when we speak about communication, yun talaga nagkakaintindihan kami. I don't mind if I speak in Bisaya. I don't mind if I speak in Filipino. I don't mind if I'm a trying hard speaker for Ilonggo, basta maintindihan lang or something like that, no? I also am able to work in a communities in Sarangani, yung ating indigenous, no, na may special program din sila. So, even, no, alone lang po sa aming region, we have so much things to do. What's more in your place, no? It's not easy, we acknowledge that, but we do not just stay there, no? We have to do something, and we also get the support, okay? So, here we go. Oh, parang, sorry for this. Okay, wait. Oops.
Strong leadership.
So I'm checking it back. I apologize for that. So in terms of where we go. Okay, resources na ako. I'm sorry for that. So here I go. I'm coming back. Technical din, ano. Okay, so I'll find it back here. Slideshow. Okay, there we go. I missed that one slide. I forgot to remove it. I apologize for that. So I add on here po ang ating mga resources of what we got here. Because we're dealing with kids, so meron po talaga siyang updating for resources from UNESCO and UNICEF rather, and the rest of this. So updated po siya. So you could use this after. So we have now a summary. So we discussed about in my time about special education during pandemic, the access and support that we're getting, not only from the school, not only for the teacher, but also for the parents at home. And of course, we discussed about parent-teacher partnership, and I have shown you some of the resources that I got. So after this one, you could have your questions, and then we're ready to share on that. So thank you so much for my time. We're getting ready for our next speaker. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Mary V, for your sharing. Indeed, we agree with the sharing of Ma'am Mary V that for special education to really be successful, there must be strong parent-teacher partnership. Not even in special education, but I think for the entire education aspect. Okay, so this time we shall have our final speaker for tonight, and I am very happy to introduce him to you. He is a Master Teacher 1 of City Central School SPED Center. He is a national trainer for special education, an outstanding teacher of MOPSTA or MOPSTA. He is an outstanding SPED teacher in DepEd Region 10 and Division of Cagayan de Oro City. He also serves as Board of Director for Special Olympics Philippines in Mindanao to share to us about teaching exceptional children in the time of pandemic. Let us welcome Mr. Romeo Balandra II. Good evening, Sir Romeo. Sir, excuse me, you're on mute, sir. All right, there you go, sir.
Hello, good
Hello,
evening.
sir. Good evening.
Thank you for inviting me to tonight's webinar. So can you see my, all right. I'm Romeo Belandro, you can call me Bambi. So I was Dr. Babia's teacher in Xavier University in 2006, just before I left for the US. So my topic tonight is teaching exceptional children in the time of pandemic. So tonight's forecast, let's just share practices, our practices in school and experience here and abroad. So wait. So practical tips and activities that teachers can also do in their schools right now. So before I start, like I've said earlier, we are in a pandemic, a very difficult situation where we are experiencing a lot of stress, uncertainty, and anxiety. And so during this time, it is the role of the SPED teachers to reassure the parents that we are not here to give them more stress, that we are not here to complicate their lives, but we are here to guide them and support them, especially since they will be taking over our roles in teaching their children at home. So, so that's our goal for this pandemic, the goal of SPED. Let us simplify things. Like I've said, we're experiencing already a lot of difficulties, so we change our goals into realistic and achievable goals. So right now, our goal is to survive. So let us make sure our kids are happy, healthy, and safe at home. So that's the same goals I think the parents also have for their family and for their children. So dili ra kalayo. We are on the same boat. We have the same vision and we have the same goal. So right now I will share with you the different learning delivery modalities as provided by DepEd, but not all we are doing. Like face-to-face learning, we are not doing face-to-face learning. The president is very explicit in his instruction that uh, there shall be no face-to-face learning until a vaccine is available. So we will not talk about that. And then we have also homeschooling. Homeschooling, you need accreditation and special training to be able to do homeschooling. So we will not talk about that also. And we have apprenticeship. Apprenticeship is for senior high school students for that's for their internship to apply the skills that they have learned. So far, I don't think we have SPED students who are in senior high school already, or maybe a very few, those with a visual impairment and hearing impairment. So right now, this is the learning delivery modality that is going to be implemented in the special education. So we have the distance learning. So distance learning is remote teaching. So there is no actual or personal face-to-face encounter with your students. So we can do it online through Zoom, through Google Meet or Facebook, YouTube, whatever. We also have modules. So right now in Cagayan de Oro, we are going to implement SPED in the pandemic using modules. So for the past 2 months, we've been preparing activity sheets that will be distributed to the learners. Uh, for the past 2 months, I've been looking forward to August 24 for supposedly the start of the new school year. But this afternoon, it was announced that the opening of school has been moved to October. So we'll have more time to prepare, to polish our modules and activity sheets. So another uh, type under distance learning, we have TV and radio. So also in Cagayan de Oro and other regions in the Philippines, we are developing educational shows that will be shown on TV and on radio. And then yes, and then lastly we have blended learning. So for blended learning, it's a combination. Since we cannot combine face to face with another modality, it's a combination of online and modular. So again, like I said, in Cagayan de Oro, we are starting with the modular learning delivery, but eventually we will have our online also. In fact, we already did our dry run just last July, and it was a successful dry run. The kids enjoyed, and we will see. Hopefully, at the end of first quarter, we'll also have online for our pupils with learning disabilities. So what are the preparations that we have done in the past 2 months? So first, in June, we were working from home. So we were given instruction to select the most essential learning competencies, or the MELC. You see, the Department of Education has a set of standards or competencies that need to be hit by the teachers, that need to be taught by the teachers to the pupils. For the pandemic, we are selecting only the most important ones. No, we don't have time to teach everything. So we will be integrating competencies, combining competencies. So that's what we did in June. Select the most essential or the most important learning competencies. Some we fuse with other subjects. We combine subjects. The past 2 months, we also underwent several trainings to improve our ICT skills, especially for the older teachers who are scared of technology, who are scared to try the computer, the online tools. But the trainings have helped us, opened our eyes to how ICT helps in the training and education of children. So for July, we started preparing the learning activity sheets. These are the modules for um, our learners with special needs. So the preparation is done division wide. So all the SPED teachers met and this and divided into groups. So we prepared activity sheets for all the subjects and for all the uh, learning um, uh, strands that will be taught to our learners with special needs. And then we're not finished yet, and we're glad that the OpenF classes has been moved so that there will be enough time to validate the modules or the activity sheets. Probably you've seen the uh, very recently, there's uh, a controversial picture showing a TV educational show by DepEd. So to prevent further problems, we need to validate, we need more time to check every item in the activity sheets. Are they doable? Can the students do it? Can the parents understand it? Can the parents uh, uh, relay the instruction well to the students? So that will be made sure after a validation. And part also preparation, we are preparing learning videos because not all students have stable internet connection at home. So for those who cannot join real-time online classes, so we will be recording the videos and uploading in YouTube or Facebook so that students can see it later, okay, during their most accessible time. And we already did dry run, like I've said earlier, last month. And last week, I had a meeting and orientation of parents, again, because we thought classes will start in August 24. So that was a very meaningful meeting for the parents. I'm glad they told me um, they're now ready to be our partners in teaching their children. Whatever I will show later are the same things that I also showed to the parents during our meeting. We need we need the parents right now. We need their help, like we've been needing it for all this time. We need it more. So we take care of the parents. We will need to answer all their questions. We must keep an open communication with them. Give them your number, your email address, or Facebook Messenger so they can ask you their the questions. Again, we need their help. Without them, it will be very difficult to continue the special education of the children. So right now, I'm sharing with you some practical tips to make teaching learners with special needs at home more successful. So I have parents telling me that, sir, my child won't do this, he won't do that. He only listens to you, he only follows what the teacher tells him. So to solve that problem, we can do this one. We can try errorless learning. So with errorless learning, we're not teaching new skills to the children. Okay, we are giving kids activities that they already know. The purpose is that to keep the kids on task at home. So they will not do things unless these are things that they already know. So you can give them puzzles, you can give them clips, you can give them Legos, abacus, anything that they know. So again, the purpose is that they will feel good once they accomplish something, and certainly they will accomplish it because they already know that they have acquired that skill already. So the purpose is to build confidence and to promote independence, and most importantly, to keep kids on task at home. So they need to do something at home productive. So that's errorless learning. Again, to do that, give activities that the kids know, that the kids already acquired. Next, make a schedule. So a schedule can be visual, use of pictures, or for children who can read, so a written schedule. So we need to structure activities at home. There should be a routine. The purpose of that is to make their daily life predictable. The anxiety is minimized. So they must know what to do. They must know what your expectations of them are. So you can use pictures like this one I'm showing you. That's fixing a bed or reading a book. And then every time they accomplish something, you make a check. So the kid will feel good if he sees a lot of checks on his schedule. So, and that will also be your objective basis for giving your rewards, for giving the children computer time. Kaya na sila nakita nga accomplished nga task through the schedule, visual or written schedule. And then we also have positive behavioral support system. So the kids right now, they don't like, sige tagpangasaba, they don't like that we keep on punishing them, scolding them. So instead of punishing, we identify behavior in child that we want to eliminate or identify behavior that we want them to develop. So how do we do that? So by giving them reward every time they accomplish something that you want them to accomplish. And when you reward, you make sure that these are rewards that the students really like. You don't just give anything that you like because what you like may not necessarily be the things that they like. So you make sure when you give your rewards, it must be something that the kids really like and the kids really want. For example, computer time. So they cannot do computer time unless they finish their work. They cannot do their computer time if they keep on crying. So we reward them for every positive behavior that they perform. So that's positive behavioral support system. So to keep track of the good deeds that your student want to exhibit or their children want to perform in the house, you can have your own reward chart like the one we have at school. So you line up all the skills you want your children to learn or all the behavior that you want to eliminate. So probably don't put too many things there yet because they may feel too pressured to accomplish all those. So you can do it. You can prioritize your goals. You can prioritize the skills that you want your kids to learn, or prioritize the behavior that you want to eliminate. And then you can make the reward chart. And if they accomplish it, put a star, and they can see it and tell them at the end of the week if there's stars in each day. Then they will have their favorite toy, they will have their favorite fruit, or they can have a hug from their mom or their dad, or they can have reading time at home. So rewards need not be expensive. And next, it was emphasized already by our two speakers earlier that we need to check on the parents, guardians, and caregivers. And we do it clearly. Make sure that the message you want to tell them is uh, understood by the parents, and you have to answer the questions patiently. And most importantly, you don't do it, just because you want to do it. You have to do it regularly. So in City Central School, our day of communication with the parents is Monday. That's also the time they get the modules. So they get the modules on Monday, and then we have parents meeting also on that day. We discuss to them the activities that their children will be doing this week. And if they have questions, they ask their questions during that parent time. Last night, I interviewed my former co-teacher in South Carolina, and she told me the same thing. She meets with the parents regularly, at least once a week. She meets with her class only once a week online for saying hi, sharing what's happening at home, asking how the kids are. So they only do it once a week, and the rest is through activities that will be given to the parents for the parents to give to their children. So they meet with the parents once a week to discuss, and the next week they turn over all the accomplished activities. So right now I'm sharing practical things that are helpful and useful to the parents, to the families. Uh, you use those that are applicable, or you may adapt it to suit the needs of your class. So one of the very useful things I do in my classroom is a calendar, especially right now that we don't see our students. So we can make a weekly newsletter. You can have greetings, just like this, what I'm showing you. There's greetings from the teacher. You can, since this is online, so you can click it to attach to it will connect to a video, and you put there the calendar. There's the date, specific dates, and specific activities that the students will be doing. You put there what are your expectations, of what are the things are expected of them to accomplish in the week, and then they can also share what they are doing at home. We always give importance to the kids' feelings. They know if we care for them, they know if we love them or not. So we show it to them. So this is one way of showing appreciation to the children. So that's one tip I can share. A weekly calendar, a visually pleasing weekly calendar. So now suggested activities. Read aloud. Yeah, I'm an advocate for read aloud. That's one good activity you can share online with your class. You can record using a movie maker. And you can scan the pictures of the book so they can see what you're reading. A read aloud is a good activity. You can never go wrong with read aloud. I still remember all the stories read to us by our kindergarten teacher, and I was in kinder how many years ago? 35 years ago, 40 years ago. I can still remember all the stories shared by our teacher. That's how powerful read alouds or storytelling are. So this is one good activity you can do online, and even in modules you can give stories that are understandable to students. So another fun activity is exercise or Zumba at home, where not all my students love to dance. So this is one activity. It need not only be, reading, writing. You can do a lot of fun things through movement of our body. Okay, you can read showing body movements. You can do a lot of things with movements. Another is practical skills. So in my class, I do my end of the year assessment so that I can make an IEP. I make my IEP usually February and March previous year. So that will be in preparation for the next school year. So I have IEPs for all my students for this year already. And one of the things I put in the IEP are practical skills. Our kids need to learn to be independent. Our kids need to learn to take care of themselves. So this is one good activity. And parents can teach this because these are also the same things parents do at home. So eventually, if they master the skills, they can be the assistants of their parents. And ICT activities. There's a study in a university in New York that 80% of children with special needs respond positively to technology. Huh? Children with special needs, okay, they respond positively, 80% of them, to technology. So what is important is what websites, educational websites, your students or your children can go. I have here a few suggestions. One of my favorites is Starfall. You can use Starfall to teach reading. There are sounds, there are books, and it has different ability level. So that's for free, Starfall. There's also Game Quarium. You can do a lot of math activities. Growing up, I hated math. But if we had Game Quarium back then, I'm sure I will enjoy math. So there are a lot of activities our children will enjoy in Game Quarium. Please try to look into that. And we have Brain Pop. So there are different activities in Brain Pop according to different subjects: science, reading, writing, math, arts, and technology, and so on and so forth. So please choose wisely the activities or the websites that your children visit, because it can make or break them. So these are just some of the websites that they can go. So I think that's all. There are a lot of things I would like to share, but I don't have a lot of time. Just remember, there is no prescribed management for children with learning with special needs. We teach according to what their needs are. That's why it's important that we assess them, we know what they need, and that's what we teach them. And then again, if plan A doesn't work, try another plan, okay? Or give it more time. Probably it needs more warming up. What is important is we are patient and we don't give up. So that's all. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Sir Romeo, for your sharing.
All right.
All right. So I know that our participants have learned so much from our three speakers. Let's just try to have a little recap. Dr. Hinakay shared to us the leadership toolkits for special education. Then Miss Mary V also shared about IEP and the importance of parent-teacher partnership to make special education happen. And last but certainly not the least, Mr. Balandra shared to us the different activities that we teachers can be able to apply to implement in a special education class. Okay, so I was checking on YouTube earlier. Okay, so if you have some questions, this is the right time for you to post them. All right, our dear speakers, are you ready to answer some queries from our participants?
Yes.
Yes, Ma'am French.
Okay, I can see some questions already. Like what I have promised, each speaker will answer one question. Okay, let us begin with Dr. No, this is for Miss Mary V. Miss Mary V. Oh,
Yes
Mary
po.
V, are you there? Hi po. What assessment tool, this is from Sir Patrick, what assessment tool do you use since it is a requirement for IEP development?
Okay. Yung sagot na yan, yung question na yan, Sir Romeo could also the same thing, and Ma'am Jessica, in here, once you're not the tools that we're using for assessment, once you're not registered or certified, you cannot even hold it. But here, umbrella type siya. So the testing, the assessment is handled by the experts. So may kanya-kanya kaming assign. So may speech therapist kami, no? May mga kanya-kanya. Right now, I have special part of that, yung aming as speech therapist, kasi yun yung need ng estudyante ko sa klase ko. So once we get a meeting with the parent, apart na si teacher, no, may teacher manager ang tawag sa kanila dito, na yung assigned SPED teacher, na sila talaga nag-handle sa ating coordinator, main teacher. Now, what we do for that, once a month or a scheduled month to call the parents and get in kung ano yung need na kailangan ibibigay na test sa mga anak nila or anak nila. So we have a partner on that. So kami, na teachers, we sat down, we do feedback on based sa performance nila for assessment. For medical assessment, no, clinical assessment, yung mga experts po talaga ng field ang nandyan. Okay, so ang feedback ni teacher as part of the assessment is again the performance, the behavior during the integration or mainstreaming ng bata sa klase. Built-in siya, and then this is under this curriculum and under the program here in the US, may prescribe sila. Now, we just only see it na hawak nung in charge.
Mary V. Mary V, are you still there?
Yeah, I guess Sir Romeo and Mom Joy, Dr. Joy could also add kung anong assessment meron na tools that we use. Because even before I was in General Santos City SPED, because we're also limited, no, yung mga tools na yan, for example, sa neuro needs ng mga bata, pinapasa namin, or we have a partner, no, na saan namin sila pinapadala. no, even for testing, no, so ako kahit guidance counselor ako, hindi ko naman linya yung assessment na yun. So only the certified or yung licensed na teacher assign on that, sila lang po talaga. No? So, ganun din po dito. So, to make it clearer, yeah, to make it clearer, when we conduct assessment, kaya kami. No, ako nasa performance and behavior assessment for the kids, feedback and grades and anong meron siya sa klase ko. In terms of medical assistance or clinical assistance, we have another partner for that. That's in the setup here in the US.
Thank you so much, Miss Mary V. Okay,
No,
Dr. Hinakay, do you have something to add in relation to IEP format? Because most of the questions are related to IEP format. Is there a
Yeah,
suggestion or a standard?
yes, Ma'am French. Here in the Philippines, in fact, Sir Bambi is one of the developer of one assessment tool. It's called the multi-factored assessment tool. It has been developed by the central office and has already been rolled out. Totoo po yung sinabi ni Ma'am Mary V, no? We do have partners, no, the experts who will be handling the other, the special types of assessments such as the developmental assessment, but then that multi-factored assessment tool has been used by our kindergarten and grade 1 teachers, no, to assess pupils with their difficulties, the pre-assessment things. No? Example, if they have difficulties in mathematics, so uh, that one is being addressed already at the earlier stage of their learning. And then as they progress to the higher grade, like let's say in grade 1, the grade 1 teachers will also be, if they find something that is not regular, not a regular behavior among their pupils, they can use the multi-factored assessment tool, to pre-assess the skills of their pupils, so that when there is a need for intervention, the regular teachers, especially for underdiagnosed pupils, can readily address, or do interventions for them. If these things will progress, and the results of the multi-factored assessment tool can become one of the references that the teachers in the SPED program can use, to recommend intervention activities. So as I've said before, the still collaboration is very important between the regular teachers and the SPED and those in the SPED program. So I guess Sir Bambi can also expound on that because he's one of the head writers for the multi-factored assessment tool.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Hinakay. Sir Romeo, you're muted, sir. Please.
Okay, I'm sorry. So right now I'm using several tools to assess my students. For one, I'm using Woodcock Johnson 3, but it's not available. It's expensive. But I have some from my work abroad before. And for those who don't have standard tools, teachers can make their own assessment tool using the competencies of the students. So he can make uh, a test, and then probably most our standard is 70% to 75. So if a student can get 7 out of 10, so that would be passing, or 8. It depends on the standard. So the teachers can also use the quarterly exams of the students. So when you do the assessment, actually you assess for academics, you assess only reading, writing, and math. And you can use the quarterly test in these subjects, get the results. That will be the basis for the teacher in making the IEP. Or if the student is non-graded, so itong giingon ni Ma'am Jaganina, the multi-factor assessment tool, it's a very good tool. Teachers can use, easy to use. There are instructions for each item. Students will be tested in cognitive, in social, emotional, in gross motor skills, fine motor skills in all areas. And there is a script, there is a standard. So teachers will not have any problem. And the materials are also standardized. We made those for 2 years or 3 years. So it's easy to use. There's instruction for each activity. So these are, again, going back, you can use standardized tests, but they are expensive. They can use quarterly tests for reading, writing, and math, or they can use multi-factored assessment tool. Or the SPED teachers can help the regular teachers. So we have several tools in special education. So we can also use Portage. Okay, it's the same as MFAT, but MFAT is easier and faster to perform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Romeo. Once again, we thank our speakers for tonight, our dear participants. So I want to give them your likes, your hearts, and your virtual applauses for such a job well done for these invited speakers. Thank you so much for giving us light on how special education can be strengthened and can be continued even in the new normal of education. Okay, now this time we are going to have one of the most awaited part of our webinar, and that is the trivia question. Okay, so like what I have said, we are going to have two trivia questions for tonight. We will give away two sets of 100 pesos worth of Gcash load. Okay, so let me view the YouTube. Are you ready, participants? Give me a capital YES if you're ready for your yes. Okay, I can see it coming. So again, the first to give me the answer on my view or on my screen as I can see it and as I announce it will be declared as the winner. All right. Okay, so we're flooding with readiness in YouTube chat. Okay, so here we go now. I'll be reading to you the first trivia question. I took this from the topic of Dr. Hinakay. And the question is, what leadership tool refers to the ability to bounce back from difficulties? What leadership tool refers to the ability to bounce back from difficulties? Let's see who can give the correct answer first. I know there's a bit of a delay there. Okay, I can see it. From Ma'am Rhea May Akop, that is resilience. Ma'am Rhea May Akop, correct? You got it right. Congratulations. Please send to the USJ-R School of Education FB page your details for your GCash load. Okay. Let's go now to another question. Okay, question number 2. I just combined the topics of Sir Romeo and Miss Mary V. And there's one thing that I realized. No, it talks about parent-teacher relationship, partnership. Then there's also the tools, the activities that we can do for special education classes. And one thing that I'd realize along the way that we teachers, together with the parents, we really have to be patient and creative. So this time, our dear participants, we will test your creativity. I am going to test your creativity. So for the second trivia question, it's not actually a trivia, but I will let you do something. Combining what you have learned from Miss Mary V and Sir Romeo, I want you to create a hashtag. We are familiar with the hashtag, right? So there should be the hashtag sign. Create a hashtag combining what you have learned from the talks of Miss Mary V and Sir Romeo. Go! Let's see what hashtags you can create. We let our pupils create hashtags, right? It's a part of our activity. So this time, it's your turn to create hashtags. There's a bit of a delay. We can wait. Patience is a virtue. Okay. Sir Andy, it's hashtag PTA. I wonder what hashtag PTA means. Parent Teachers Association, am I right? Okay, so we'll take that. Sir Andy Brimon, congratulations. Please send us your details in the USJ-R School of Education Facebook page so that we can give you your prize. Okay? Congratulations. Oh, there are a lot. I will read a few, but again, Sir Andy is our winner already. Hashtag learn, do on how to handle. Okay. Hashtag parent-teacher collaboration. Hashtag open community. Okay. All your hashtags are correct. But for that question, Sir Randy made it as the winner. Okay. Right. So this time, this isn't the last of our webinar. There is more for next week's session. So to give us an idea as to what our next session would be all about, let us listen to one of the faculty members of the USJ-R PE department. Here is Mrs. Jacqueline Visitacion. Good evening, Ma'am Jackie.
Thank you, Ms. French. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the USG-R School of Education, we would like to invite you once again for another webinar session. There will be two topics. First is entitled Facilitating and Assessing Online Virtual Classes. The resource speaker will be Mr. Ayunil J. Arterogo, Chairperson, USJR School of Education, Department of Teacher Education, Doctor of Philosophy English Language Candidate, Philippine Normal University Research Center for Teacher Quality, Curriculum Quality Audit Specialist, and National Prototype Syllabi Writer, BS Ed English Subjects. The second topic is Innovative Pedagogies for Remote Teaching and Learning. The resource speaker will be Mr. Paul Ray Mark N. Salsag, a certified ABLE teacher, published researcher and national trainer in preschool and tertiary levels, college instructor and senior high school teacher in San Agustin, Bacolod, and national professional lecturer in licensure examination for teachers. The webinar session will be held this coming Friday, August 21, 2020 at 7 p.m. Philippine Standard Time. For more information on how to register for free, visit USJR School of Education Facebook page and YouTube channel. Save the date and see you on the next webinar. Thank you, Ms. French.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Jackie, for that information. So, having heard our topic for next week, I am sure our Suping webinaristas will be looking forward to that one, and we'll see you again next week for that. Okay, now at this moment, we shall listen to a presentation on the curricular offerings of St. Ezekiel Moreno Special Learning Center to be given to us by one of the faculty members, Miss Maria Teresa Deliaza. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Ms. Frenchie, and good evening to everyone. As other children enter the school year in a very new and challenging environment, let us not forget that children with special needs must also be included and be given access to the new world of education. St. Ezekiel Moreno Special Learning Center, the SPED Center of the School of Education of the University of San Jose Recoletos, continue to support these unique learners in this new normal. We provide special education instruction to children with special needs. We cater to students with autistic spectrum disorder or ASD, intellectual disabilities, including Down syndrome, ADHD, learning disabilities, and multiple disabilities. New in our department is schools. SCHOOLS stands for SPED Center to Home Optimal Online Solutions. We aim to bring specialized instruction to children with special needs into their homes. Schools is our response to the uncertainty in special education caused by the pandemic. In this new normal, we offer an array of programs in exclusive one-on-one settings through online sessions. Our programs are IAP-based, and we provide various opportunities for students to learn not only in academic skills, but also in significant home living skills. Our special educators who are experienced in providing individualized and specialized instruction adapt their classroom lessons to online classes. They conduct online classes that are fully interactive, motivating student participation, thus engaging the students while sustaining their attention. Because providing special education through online means is something new to most, if not all, students and parents. We offer a 1 week free trial classes for those interested, free of any fees and obligation to enroll. Please contact Ms. Eva Divina Casha in 09177988022 for more information. You may also send your message through the USJ-R School of Education hallway FB page. Thank you and Adelan.
Thank you so much, Ms. Villesa, for your information on the special education curricular offerings of USJ-R. Now, to wrap things up for tonight, we shall listen to no less than the innovative and dynamic Dean of the USJ-R School of Education. We have Dr. Gistoni P. Babia. Good evening, Sir Babia.
Hi, good evening, Miss French, and good evening, everyone. Once again, thank you so much for watching our COE Learn at Home webinar series. And we are now at our sixth session, that's season two. And finally, we have invited a lot of very appropriate, speakers, and at the same time, really are experts in their fields that they are teaching, especially that we talk about special education. So I just have a few takeaways as to what our speakers have shared a while ago. And these are some of the experiences and reflections that I've got from the three of them, which actually gave me an opportunity as well to rethink and restructure the way how I understand special education. And of course, the very reason why there's special education is because of kids, of children with special needs having different disability categories. And our speakers have frequently mentioned about the heart of the special education, which is the individualized education plan. And I suppose that most of you, especially SPED teachers, our viewers right now, can really differentiate special education from a regular education. It's because we are using individualized education plan. Our plan for every children is customized to their needs and interest. And this customization is actually very unique because this might change for a month or two or next month, or it might still retain the same competencies if the child cannot really learn at all. So it's totally different from the regular education setup. And what I've learned from our speakers is that when we talk about special education in the new normal, what is very essential is collaboration. And collaboration really entails open-mindedness from different people, from different stakeholders, in order to ensure that there should be a meaningful discussions, meaningful opportunities for these stakeholders to decide on things that will really matter to children with special needs based on their different their interests, for example. And we also have learned from our speaker that partnership is very important, and parent partnership, because parents really are the enablers of their children. They are actually the best teachers in the 21st century, especially that it's now getting into our nerves that this pandemic is really taking us a very long time to really go back to the face-to-face classroom interaction. So parent partnership can actually help. And at the same time, we've also learned from our speakers that it's very, very important to have capacity building for our teachers. And at the same time, it's not only that because it's already new normal, but we have to capacitate as well our parents to really be involved directly in the education of their children, be familiar with what competencies and standards are set there is for them and the goal for the children, and the goals and objectives must be clearly crystallized and clearly understood for the parents to also become second teachers at home. And of course, the most important thing of all is the knowledge generation and dissemination. So On top of the collaboration, partnership, capacity building, it is very, very important to generate, to share whatever knowledge that we have generated based on our constant and actual practice, and use this existing theories and principles, methodologies, pedagogies, and ragogy to the existing practices, and perhaps create a better platform or format that would fit into different special education contexts. Now, our speakers also have clearly shared that with all these in hand, having this collaboration, capacity building, partnership, knowledge generation, and dissemination can only be achieved if there is really a strong teacher leadership. And we've learned that there are different leadership tools that we have to know, and these leadership tools will only enable us to successfully implement whatever special programs and services that we are actually implementing in our respective schools. And of course, with the teacher leadership also comes the different learning modalities that we can actually design in the new normal, which is really, really very essential. And we have learned from our speaker that there are different ways on how to deliver special education services. And we've learned that the remote teaching and learning is not just about online learning, but there are a lot of learning modalities that we can probably use in order to fit in to the needs and interests of children with disabilities. So therefore, we have to remember, parents, teachers, and students, that leadership is an essential tool. Leadership is an essential tool in creating valuable partnership and collaboration among stakeholders to achieve child's maximum development. The use of varied learning methodologies in remote learning must be tailored fit to the learning interest of children with varied disability categories. So with that, I wish to thank our speakers. Thank you so much, Ma'am Joy Hinakay, Dr. Dr. Joy Hinakay, soon to be Dr. Marivilim, and of course, Professor Romeo Balandra, who's my teacher in college, my special education teacher, for really giving your utmost time to share whatever it is that you have had, and your expertise is very, very much appreciated by all of us in the School of Education. Before anything else, I think the advertisement last time was not a while ago was not shared. So these are our speakers, just for you to be familiar with them. We have Sir Paul Ray Mark Salsag, who will be sharing to us next session on innovative pedagogies for remote teaching and learning. So this is a common topic that is being requested also by our audience. And another request from our web co-learners is on the topic of facilitating and assessing online virtual classes. These two topics are very essential because we will now be focusing on the different remote learning tools and on how really to assess, and facilitate online virtual classes. What are the different strategies that we can probably use in online learning classes, may it be synchronous or asynchronous classes? And of course, for those who have not yet decided where will they take their children, or you personally, if you're an audience and you want to become a teacher, please don't forget to subscribe in our official Facebook page. Right now, it's now School of Education. And I want you to look into the programs and services and keep updated with our latest postings and educational innovations and development. So don't hesitate to contact the School of Education page. And at the same time, don't also forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's USJ-R School of Education or College of Education Official. And make sure that you will also be supporting and spreading the good news that we need to learn and share our learnings and our newly built-in expertise, learn from our speakers and other experts, so that we can provide a wonderful environment full of learning and full of realization, but of course, full of fun. So I want you to enroll with us. Of course, we invite you to enroll with us and be part of the growing team of experts in the field of teaching the 21st century experience. With that, maraming salamat po. And once again, good evening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Babia. And before we end, our dear participants, right after this webinar, please proceed to the USJ-R School of Education Facebook page. We will be providing the link there for the survey, which is required for you to receive your e-certificates. And a friendly reminder, as you accomplish the form, please provide us with a valid email address and do give your name correctly so we can avoid problems on the e-certificates. Okay, so I think we had a great night once again. For sure, listening to our speakers, we are now inspired to continue 21st century learning, even if it's done in a remote manner, particularly on the special education aspect. And let us continue sailing together. The waves may be tough, but as long as we have one direction and we do things collaboratively, nothing is possible. Okay? Nothing is impossible, rather. All right. So, once again, we will see each other next week. This has been Miss Maria Frenchevie Regino. Have a great night, everyone. Adelante.